Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Monday, April 1st, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where I forgot to turn the volume up on my intro, and where we take a look at the price action at the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market, along with taking a look over there at the stock market as it gets set to open in the next 1 minute. Of course, we'll take a peek over there at precious metals like gold and silver, along with the United States Currency Index, or the DXY, which, looking at the DXY, has just been a boring waddle for a year at this point. We'll take a peek over there at any type of financial news going on out there as we get ready to kick off the week, the month, the quarter, and any type of crypto news that seems to be important or relevant as we start our day. Looking at the stock market as it gets set to open, we're going to have a mixed market over there as we open on up. Looks like the Dow's going to be down a couple of points. Looks like the NASDAQ will be up a couple of points. The S&P will be up a couple of points. Kind of mixed over there as the stock market gets set to open and as gold is still continuing its rampage. But Bitcoin sits there at $70,000 as we kick off the month. As we said there at the beginning, today is Monday, April 1st. I'm not going to pull an April Fool's Day joke on you, but I will tell you this. If you are trying to find any type of alpha or news on Twitter, take the day off. Enjoy life. You are going to get hit with nothing but chaos over there on Twitter as everybody tries to be a jokester today. So just stay off of it. If you find yourself attached to news narratives and trying to read into anything, you will get zero alpha today. If anything, it'll drive you crazy. So if you don't have the humorous mindset to understand that you will get nothing but pranked today on Twitter, then I would advise to just stay away entirely. But okay, here we go. Monday, April 1st, $70,000 to kick off the new quarter for Bitcoin over here. Highest monthly, quarterly, weekly. No, I don't know. It wasn't weekly. Highest monthly and quarterly close that we've seen there for Bitcoin at $70,000 right now as we kick off the new month. Over the weekend, of course, it was a holiday weekend. So happy Easter to those who celebrate. I do. So it was a busy weekend. I did get a new newsletter out there on Saturday, I believe. I'll post a link right here in the chat right now. Of course, there's links in the description of the newsletter. It comes with a 28-minute audio recording, so it's quite a doozy. Go through all the crypto market we find in broader markets to point out the complications of current price action of where we are at right now, all the super bullish cases, but all the things that are also different at the same time. I think it's really important to have that big picture, especially with where we are right now with the altcoin market. Others hits the 702. There we go. That's what we got. We got back to the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. These are always the areas that we talked about in 22, 23, and the people just screaming constantly it could never happen. We've gotten back there, right? It was always the case. What was the things we talked about that would happen with retail sentiment? It would become extreme risk-taking. It would become overwhelmingly bullish, and that sentiment would change. Are we seeing extreme risk-taking? Let me ask you this. How many of you have downloaded the Phantom wallet? How many of you are playing in base meme coins? How many of you have bought a meme coin recently, right? Extreme risk-taking, of course. It happens right back here, and this is where overwhelming cockiness and confidence comes out to play. But we are back at this level, and we've got to see if we can get out of here. So looking for elements for expansion or for rejection. As you can see, it was a nice little technical play around that happened there throughout the month of March. You can see it got back to the 702 retracement, got rejected off the 702 retracement, but then bounced off the 50% retracement and closed above the 618, which is where it still is currently right now. So we're there. Now it's the $1 million question of can we get an actual escape to happen? And we're still just going to sit here twiddling our thumbs, I'm sure, until that moment makes itself present. There's some black swan shows up out there in markets because events tend to happen when they're supposed to happen, or if we can get ourselves to actually expand. And we're all just kind of waiting and twiddling our thumbs to see if that moment can end up happening in here. So that's where we're at. For others, you're there. Month of March for me was more about just like taking some cash out of the market at that point and just kind of sitting there building a cash position, continuing to do so, looking for the market to tell us what can we do from here. XRP still waddling along. Absolutely nothing exciting to talk about over there. Ethereum, of course, month of March, what was it? Getting through the retracement levels, back through, waddling, closing right there, right underneath the 702 Fibonacci retracement for the monthly candle right there for Ethereum. We've seen this before too, right? It was like that same moment from back in 2020. It's where we got back up in here, and then we got above all retracement levels. I'll put us on the daily time frame so you can see that. You got above all retracement levels, then you fell back down, and then you waddled, and then you kept on going, and that was the excitement of the market. Take it off log scale so you could see that a little bit better. It was like this, and then off goes the craziness happening in there. So we've definitely seen it before, but of course that came with expansion. We're looking for expansion to happen in markets. The Dow Jones, a stunner of a month back in March. It does get through the 4.236 extension. Super exciting, right? So when we're talking about things that are like, hey, let's look at all the bullish things. Let's look at the concerning things happening in there. Well, you do have that, right? That's the case of positivity for Bitcoin. Sorry, fantasy lovers of the Bitcoin block reward halving. Why are you setting a new high in Bitcoin prior to the block reward halving? Because the thing has always been there, Dow Jones, right? Happens within 100 days of the Dow Jones. I think the official number was like 78 or 81 days or something like that. Bitcoin sets the new high with the Dow Jones, which is actually the longest it's ever taken. The longest it had ever taken was actually back in 2016 and 17, where it took 56 days. That was the previous record of longest amount of time it's ever taken from the Dow Jones. This one eclipsed that record, but again, just jams it down the face of the block reward halving, that it is tied to the stock market. So that's a super optimistic thing, of course, for the Bitcoin world and the crypto world to see the Dow Jones Industrial Average doing that. Again, then we flip to that other side of the coin and say, well, what's the mixed signal that's coming from it? Why is the whole market not doing it? Why is it super consolidated into one, just like we saw happen in crypto back in 2021, where only a few assets go onto the new highs? So we're definitely in a weird time as we're back at the 702 retracement for others in here. As Ethereum's back in those retracement levels, everything's fighting, and then we're just getting mixed signals everywhere. We're getting like positive signals from like the DXY, positive signals from the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but then you're getting, not positive signals from the Russell 2000. And then the other one that's just glaring, should be glaring in everybody's face, gold. What? Why are you breaking out of a 4-year range, surging, right? This is not something that has happened in any of Bitcoin's expansions. It has not happened in the last 10 years for expansions with the stock market. Anytime there's been a true expansion happening in the stock market and happening in Bitcoin, it's met with gold getting destroyed during those moments. This is not what happens during expansions. So it's like, hey, we got this super bullish thing. You got the Dow breaking out. That's great. But then you got, wait a minute, why isn't the rest of the market following? Why is gold breaking out? All expansions have been met with downward price action happening from gold. And of course, you got the elevated Fed funds rate. You got it all. It's all just a huge mix, a huge mess out there right now. If we were just going to use like the last 3 cycles, right? If you go back and you look at the last 3 cycles of Bitcoin, you look at 2013, you look at 2017, you look at 2021, they're all consistent. They all have these same elements that are all there. And right now, you've got half of them, but then the other half aren't there. And that's just, it's such a fascinating time in markets that we're going to look back on at some point, extrapolate some data from that at some point. But as we are at that right now, we're back at these retraces, right? And so like when we're back at the retraces back in 2020, like when we're back in here, you do actually have full-blown expansion and breadth opening up in the United States stock market. You've got the DXY, or you have the gold getting pummeled in here, right? It's getting broken down. You've got all these things happening as we're back into these retraces, getting ready to go breaking out and go much higher. And those are just different this time. And so as we sit here, hopefully those things clear up. I talk about a lot of those things in the newsletter that I published over the weekend. And big waiting game. So, whew. I talk about it too, like, because you guys know this, as we go through like 2022 and 2023, unapologetically bullish that we'd go back into retracements. I said it like 100 times. Markets don't tend to go down in a straight line forever. They tend to at least get back to the retrace levels. And so we get back to the retrace levels, and then it just becomes, and that's the hard part. You watch the channel, you want to hear me say, hey, we're going to break out from the retrace levels. We're going to reject from the retracement levels. But it's not that simple. It's getting back to them is the part that we can like unwaveringly be confident about. Getting to them and then seeing if we can exceed through them is the big challenge. And so getting through them, hey, we can all start hooting and hollering. We can high five. We can sing Kumbaya. We can all be best friends again. Reject from them, probably not. We'll probably all hate each other again. But, you know, getting to them is the thing that we can do now. It is just kind of, hey, can we get through? And that's why we keep looking at all these things. And I get it. It's probably like, sounds like we're beating a dead horse at this point, but constantly looking at gold, constantly looking at the Russell 2000, and looking at the Dow, and looking at Fed funds rates and all that stuff. And it's like, who cares about that stuff? And it's just trying to say, you know, what is the market telling us is going to happen here? You know, we overlay all that stuff. Let's do this. Total 2 minus USDT minus USDC minus DAI. Right. We can go through our Wyckoff accumulation schematics. We can get our way back up to them as we anticipate that they do. But once we get there, now it's, all right, well, we'll be able to exceed it. And we're just trying to find that. And that's just kind of where we are at right now. So it's still just a big, fat waiting game as people are degening into meme coins like crazy, which historically isn't a good sign. So hopefully that stuff calms down. But either way, Bitcoin, $70,000, Ethereum, 35.68, back at these retracement levels, fighting around in there. XRP, 61.4, still in the waddle. And then, of course, you know, others, where'd you go? I must have used this chart. Others back at the 702 retracement at this point right now. So there you go. US dollar currency index. I lost my little lines in here as I was recording other stuff happening in here, and that just fell off. But either way, DXY, right? So this is another one of those like positive things for crypto, right? Like you go back and you look at what happens in these when these fall. This is where crypto is going nuts. When this is falling, this is where crypto is going nuts. And we've just been falling and hanging out down here. These are positive things for crypto, right? And that's what we talk about in here, right? We're stacking up. What are all the positive things that are looking good right now? And this is one of them. To sit here and just even like if it breaks out and goes, of course not. But when we sit down here and we're just waddling here with no clear trend, that's typically a good time for crypto. If the Dow Jones Industrial Average is breaking out, that's typically a good time for crypto. If the Fed is paused, that's typically a good time for markets. Those are all real positive things happening in there. But we just have such a mix right now. So, you know, for traders, right? And I get it. Most people aren't traders. This is why we have to talk about this. We have to talk about it over and over again. Most people don't look at charts. They want to read news. They want to think that news is going to be their catalyst of everything like that. But, you know, essentially there's trading bots, there's algorithms, there's companies. They know, they just keep buying it back up to certain levels, and then they turn off the trading bots and they turn off the algorithms as we get there. And this is what we call a third range boundary. So this is where you get back up into the third range boundary, and the market waits to see what can happen. And if it gets through there, the trading bots, the algorithms can all turn themselves back on. But once we get here, this is where everything kind of gets a little washy. So it's gonna be one of those times. Blockchain backer, you say the same thing every day. It's what we end up having in these things, and then we get moving and we get back to a new range. It's just the same thing. It's just the same thing. Yep. Unfortunately, that is what it's going to be, and until we can get some type of decision to show itself here right now. All right. There we go. We'll move over to news. There's no real news going on out there. Stock futures rise to start the second quarter. Let's look at the stocks. How are they doing right now as we kick off the day? Again, like we said, mixed. Google, Meta, and Nvidia are up to start the morning. Coinbase, ARK, and GE are the losers of the morning. Indexes over here, the Dow is down 88. The S&P is up 8. The NASDAQ is up 125. So again, just like a washing machine happening over there. But as for gold and silver are both up about 1% to kick off the day. DXY about flat, and natural gas up 6%, and US oil about flat. So, all right, there you go. No real macro news out there today. Just again, it's talking about gold. I saw that you have to go to Bloomberg. I saw it on Bloomberg over there, and that was their headline, and that was really it. Stock futures rise to start the second quarter as the Dow approaches 40,000. Obviously, that's not the case now that the market is open. 10-year Treasury yield rises slightly to start second quarter. Buy these 5 stocks with upside potential as April kicks off, says Goldman Sachs. Okay. Looking over here at CoinDesk, crypto market in Zen mode as Bitcoin remains stable at $70,000 ahead of the halving. I'm sure a lot of you have been seeing Bitcoin Cash doing very well throughout the weekend. Of course, Bitcoin Cash has its halving in 3 days. Don't know if that's FOMO running up into that moment, possibly so, but man, I thought the thing hit almost $700. Amazing. Bitcoin becomes more volatile than ever as halving approaches. Wait a minute. Crypto market is in Zen mode, calm, and remains stable ahead of the halving. Crypto market is in Zen mode and stable ahead of the halving. Bitcoin becomes more volatile than ever, than Ether, as it approaches the halving. Might want to check your articles. Those are literally oxymorons of each other. Meme coins on Degen chain flourish as new layer 3 racks up millions in volume. Okay, meme coins. Vitalik Buterin shares the next steps for Ethereum purge. Highest monthly close ever. 5 things to know in Bitcoin this week. Creating good AGI that won't kill us all. Crypto's Artificial and Super Intelligence Alliance. Prisma Finance says $540,000 is still at risk. Hacker demands team reveal themselves. Tron argues SEC not a worldwide regulator and lawsuit goes too far. SEC spot Ether ETF concerns unfounded, consensus asserts. Dog whiff hat en route to $10? Question mark. Whiff is now the 3rd biggest meme coin as whales hold tight. Web3 startups flock to accelerators as crypto enthusiasm surges. Don't be too quick to poo-poo meme coins, says Arthur Hayes. Base sets record high DEX volume day, surpassing $1 billion. Right, so the difficult thing about meme coins, I think we all know this, especially those who actually have played around in them, you're going to lose on most of them, right? But we always hear the glory stories of somebody who turned $100 into $1 million, and that's what everybody wants to do. They essentially want to win the lottery, but it just doesn't tend to work out that way. Meme coins, just so you all know, they are not a long-term hold. They are an in and out and move on with your life thing. It is essentially last man holding loses. That's just the way that game is played. If you even do play in that, you're most likely going to lose money, but good luck. You know, people have fun. We see this type of behavior show up. It is absolutely no surprise that all this behavior is happening right in here. We always talked about it. The extreme risk-taking would happen right here. It's definite. We are in extreme risk-taking mode right now with crypto and with meme coins. So welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so there you go. That's what you have it as we kick off this week. Again, be very careful out there today. If you are attempting to read news, it doesn't even matter. Even like my favorite YouTubers, like in totally different categories, like with coin stuff, I already see somebody says, I'm done. I'm quitting the gold game. It's like, okay, no, you're not. It's April Fool's. Okay, I get it. So there's going to be all that stuff over there on Twitter. No news is real. There will be fake news articles being published to websites. Just go enjoy your life today. Do not even pay attention to what's going on in crypto today. And then go take a look at it again tomorrow and then start your life over. But definitely some of y'all are so emotionally unstable that you are constantly reading news that you will probably lose your mind today. I would suggest taking the day off. Okay. Well, there you have it. That's how we're kicking off the month. The Bitcoin 69.9 now. Altcoin market can't get through that 702 right there. Still stuck. Well, we'll go ahead and hop into the chat. Again, it's going to be kind of a spotty week this week here for markets in the morning. I will be here today. I will be here tomorrow. I will be here on Friday. Fridays will probably be late. Will be later in the day. But then I will be off on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we should be good for the rest of April after that until the first week of May. Right. Again, this is my busy season, guys. I'm typically here throughout the whole year. But during the spring This is my busy season where I'm running around doing a whole lot of other stuff. And this is just going to consistently be like this for a little while. And then there might be a week or two during the summertime or June and July. And then as we get through that, right, July all the way until March of the following year, it's very consistent. Every day we're here. If I have 102.9 fever, I'm here, right? Just these are always pre-planned events here in the springtime. So get ready. This week will be spotty once again, but it won't be like when I went to Australia where I was literally off for over a week. It'll just be a couple of days this week. So, all right, there we go. We're going to hop on into the chat. Andy Philpott gifted 5 memberships before the stream started. It was 1 minute before the stream started. Andy, thank you very much. Big D says, is it cool to ask about Zcash even though it's not in the top 100 anymore? No, it's not cool to ask about it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's, whether or not it's going to pop or not, that's what we're all just waiting on. Is there any room for privacy coins in the crypto market? Are we ever going to use crypto as money? I don't know. Right. So I have Zcash. It's in my privacy portfolio. Zcash is the primary holding in my privacy stuff. Then with Monero, but we'll see if privacy catches a bit or not. Philip Mann gifted a BCB membership. Brother, thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir. And whoever got gifted that, make sure you thank whoever does it because you got hooked up for free. Blockfella, God bless you and your family, BCB. Thanks for everything. What was the purpose for pulling the fib from the rally prior to capitulation? Can we apply now? Well, we had seen it happen in the past expansions, right? Like where this rally prior to capitulation can lead to the heights. We saw that with Litecoin back in 2014 through 2017. And then it even happened again in here for the altcoin or for the total market cap of crypto. And it was absolutely fascinating because it was something we did not just make up here at this last second. This was recorded years ahead of time. The rally prior to capitulation. And then like Elon Musk goes on to Saturday Night Live, and then it ends up being literally the rally prior to the capitulation full extension. So it was just something we had noticed in crypto that for some reason these fib measurements had worked in the past. And so in 2020, as I'm recording this, I'm kind of like, hey, look, there consistently seems to be like if we're measuring based on these rallies, right, rallies right here, right before the market capitulates, we've seen it several times where the market goes on and hits that 4.236. And it's just a bizarre measurement. I don't know why it does it on this one, on crypto in particular. But that was recorded back in 2020, included in the course in there to talk about that behavior. And then that's where we rally to. And then that's where Elon Musk goes on Saturday Night Live. And then that's where the market falls. And that's the top of most altcoins. As bizarre as that was, it was. So, could you use that thing right now? I've definitely been playing with that on various altcoins right now. But at this point, this is the first thing in front of us, right? This is the big problem. Okay, we'll talk about it as a problem that we have to get through here, right? This is the whole thesis of all of 2022 and 2023 is that we could at least get back here. Now, is the market going to washing machine all over the place, right? Ethereum's gotten up here, Solana's gotten up here, now Bitcoin Cash is getting up here. Is all that money going to like flood around to other stuff, and other stuff's going to do that, and we'll just like washing machine here for some time, right? Or can we go into true expansion? And that's the thing we need to get an answer on right now before even considering playing with any of those ideas of, hey, how can we measure how high this thing is going to go? I'm just not even comfortable playing with that until we can get through this stuff. Like, this is where we are. This is the whole thesis of 2022 and 2023. You get back here, I become the devil of Twitter. Everybody hates me. Bug off, all I could say. This is a reality. You get to a third range boundary. You don't know anything about charting. Like, if you are just like, see no concerns here. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about just crypto Twitter. If you don't know anything about third range boundaries, you shouldn't be playing in this game at all. And this is where we are right now. We're at the third range boundary. We have to escape here. We have to move on. We have to prove we're going to expand from here right now. Because even Bitcoin, based on its 2018 range, it's at its 4.236 extension. Others is here. Things that I would be, if I was going to look at it more, I'd be like, hey, maybe we can do what Bitcoin just did. Well, we've already gotten here on others. There's one of them in here. I don't know if it's total or if it's total 2. It's not total 2, right? Yeah, total 2. Like if total 2 could do the same thing that we've seen Bitcoin do, right, to at least get all the way up there, like a $2 trillion market cap or something like that. That's like the first thing I'm going to be looking at, because we've even shown this on gold, right? Like how you can look on gold. Let's see, where are you? Right, like this has been our sign of strength phase, then escaping, and then one more above the height. So far, that's like what we've seen for Bitcoin. But like, I think a lot of people want to hear a full-blown bull run is coming for crypto right now. And I understand that. I understand you want that. I understand people were crying in the corner 6 months ago saying we were going to 12K, and the emotions have swapped as we are back here. But this was the thesis to get to here. And I've dealt with stalkers, I've dealt with harassment, I have people who are stage 10 stalkers, stage 10 call the police style stuff, that throughout here said we couldn't do it. And now we get back here, and then now it's just, okay, now how many millions of dollars are we all going to at this point right now? But this is the thesis, and this is like the minimum, right? Now it becomes, can we expand, right? And I don't have that answer for you if it's going to expand. So expand. Then we'll talk about upside targets, right? We'll talk about more. But you need to expand first. And that's where we can just keep showing stuff like, hey, that's weird. That's weird that gold is not getting decimated here, instead breaking out. It's just not consistent with any of Bitcoin's bull runs. That's bizarre. That's odd. But then at the same time, what is consistent? Dow Jones. Boom. Great. What's not consistent? Why is there not breadth opening in the stock market? What is consistent? DXY chilling at the bottom, right? Which is so mixed. They're so mixed, but the one thing that is there is the third range boundary. So escape the third range boundary. We'll have more to talk about, and we can start playing with moon mission targets all over the place. But this is just our first major thing to overcome. And there's a lot of you who are not going to do anything here. You're not going to sell anything. You're not going to put any money in your pocket. You're not going to do anything. And if it rejects from here, you're going to cry and scream. I already know it. That's a hard reality, right? That just got real right there. All right. But Blackfella, and I'm not at you, buddy. You're a huge supporter of the channel, man. You're here all the time, dude. It's just, I know what this sentiment is like of this market right now because of the meme coins, because of the extreme risk taking that's happening right now in this market. The number one way you could catch everybody wrong-footed would just be for prices to pull back from here. That would be the thing that nobody could handle. So we have to escape. We have to escape retracement levels before too much crazy, full-blown extension cycle stuff talking about. All right. C. Saba Duquesne says, if you expect Bitcoin to distribute here, should XRP be sitting higher if it wants to have a chance to get anywhere close to previous all-time high, let alone make a new all-time high? Go look at the past bull runs for XRP. How long do they last? The 2017 distribution rally went from 20 cents to 350 in 23 days. So I know that would make, I know you would like what, so kind of what your question is like, hey, shouldn't XRP just kind of be trending and like making me feel good the whole time and like be up higher to where things, no, absolutely not. It's never happened. It has always been, go cry to your mom. Go wah with tears rolling down your eyes. Frown. That is always, and then boom, it does that in 23 days. Like that's always the historical behavior of how each one of them have happened. So like your question is, shouldn't it be? Well, if it was like a normal asset and acted like Ethereum or something like that, yeah, but you just don't get that signal from XRP, and we've talked about that many, many, many times, showing the charts and how it behaves. It's going to make you cry. It's not going to give you a warm hug. It's not going to be your mom who scratches your back and gives you warm milk before bed. It's going to be your evil stepdad. All right, moving on. Thank you, bro. David, sure. So are we in waiting game now? And I know no one can predict time frames. Are we talking days, weeks, or months? Okay. Are you serious, bro? David, so are we in a waiting game now? I know no one can predict time, but are we talking days, weeks, or months? Thank you for your super chat. I'm moving on. Sandal, thoughts on silver with gold breaking out? I think of silver like an altcoin to gold. Right. So hopefully silver goes up. I've been stacking silver still. Right. So you got the move happening over there for gold. Silver's like the altcoin to gold. Mr. Nobody, hey BCB, I see completed multi-year BC correction for Bitcoin Cash, Dash, EOS, Flow, and XRP. Based solely on the charts, any reason they shouldn't set new highs? Yeah, if the whole market doesn't. If the whole market fails. Right, yeah, so you're talking ABC corrections from 2021 through 2023, or 2022, really. And recoveries happening on them, right? So, like, I totally agree. Like, structurally, we look okay in crypto. Like, we do on a lot of these altcoins. But whether or not there's a trick happening there as we're at this. Here's the thing, and the interesting thing about sentiment, and we talk about retracement levels, and we talk about the 702, and I guarantee it, that there's at least a dozen videos. And I'm just saying a dozen because I think it's probably closer to 50 or 60. And live streams and videos where we constantly talk about it, of what it would be like to get back here. And we talked about that sentiment would swap to ultimate bull, and that we would see extreme risk taking once we got back to the retracement. Talked about it many, many times. And look at what the monthly candle does. Pinpoint, nails it. And what is the market fully convinced of with Bitcoin? That it is going into a massive bull run. When we pinpoint nail it. You can't script it for retail to act exactly like they should. And then not only does retail not only believe that, but then retail is doing the meme coin extreme risk taking at the exact same time. So you got just a couple of those things that are just not settled right until we actually can see some expansion happening. And specifically, like the thing, like even if we're not seeing it on like others or something like that, to at least see it happen in Ethereum first, because that's typically historically, it has been times where Ethereum is the one that kind of says, hey, we are going, right? So if Ethereum can give that signal to get going, then all right, we can play with everything. But this is just where you are, right? And so we'll see, there might be a lot of rotations that happen around in here. There might be a lot of washing machine that happens in here, right? Bitcoin Cash is obviously having a great run, getting up to like 700. But, it's also a couple days before news, right? So it's an opportunity to rotate out of that thing, right? Because what's the news going to be once you get past the halving for Bitcoin Cash? But it's another reason why the halving is silly when it comes to Bitcoin as well. Because Litecoin had a halving. Did Litecoin moon on a halving? No. Sound money. Bitcoin Cash only ever will be 21 million. Ultrasound perfect money is Bitcoin Cash, if you didn't know that. It's the exact same thing as Bitcoin. It's a hard fork of Bitcoin. So, all right. It's still Mr. Nobody. It's still just this is our situation here right now, right? Like if you want, I don't mind being confident and rallying the troops during depressive times, even when people are screaming at me for a year and a half. That getting back to retracements and how many times we've talked about it, how many YouTube videos I've made with thumbnails with the big green arrow pointing at the retracement level. But once we get here, you guys are gonna hate me. It's gonna constantly be. We got to get through the third range boundary. That's it. That's it. Chris says, is it possible that gold isn't a clean signal anymore? Like, is this time different? Is your question, Chris? Because of derivatives, ETFs, and paper gold, those have always been there. All those products have been there through all of these things. Those are not any different than they are now. And that might be, reflect back on that, Chris, if it does end up being the big signal that this time wasn't different. If that doesn't leave you scratching your head a little bit, that these are all the expansions for Bitcoin and the stock market all-time highs, that doesn't leave you scratching your head a little bit. It's weird. It's weird. Okay. But no, because all of those things existed during all of those moments for the entire bull run. Jeff Coolidge, do you think the Dow Jones Industrial Average being in a fifth wave from school chart fifth wave was being accompanied by a lesser volume and optimism despite a narrowing of breadth and clues about a change in direction? Oh, that's awesome. We should see that. I don't recall seeing in a fifth wave that there's a narrowing of breadth. That would be fascinating. Let's pull it up. Stock charts fifth Elliott wave narrowing of breadth. Sorry, I'm reading over here. Okay, here we go. Personality of Elliott waves. All right, wave one. The market breadth and volume will subtly increase, right? So this is what we're talking about. So right here, we're talking about wave one. Market breadth and volume will subtly increase. So breadth meaning thing, we can just think of it as the Russell and the Dow Jones, right? Dow Jones goes, Russell goes, which means the market has breadth, right? Two, corrective wave, right? So that's going to be, if I can find, okay, here we go. That's going to be corrective wave, right? Now we move on to wave three. Third wave. Third waves tend to be strong and broad. Breadth, broad. They're typically unmistakable as confidence in the direction of the new trend is clearly evident. Wave three usually generates the most volume and price movement, and there are most likely wave to extend. The third wave of an extended third wave will likely be the most volatile point of strength in the new trend, and things like price breakouts, continuation gaps, and volume expansions and increased breadth will accompany it, right? Increased breadth. Russell 2000 soaring, right? In wave three, for a stock index, nearly all stocks will participate, right? Nearly all stocks will participate. Wave four, corrective wave, right? So we're moving back to talking about corrections, but now we're going to talk about fifth wave. Fifth waves tend to be less dynamic and display slower speed of price change than the previous waves. They will usually be accompanied by lesser volume and breadth. Of course, if the fifth wave is the extended wave, this will not be the case in terms of price change. In advancing fifth waves, optimism is extremely high despite narrowing of breadth, However, the fifth wave of an extended fifth will lack the change of previous waves to give clues about the change in direction. Okay, but the main thing is the optimism is extremely high despite a narrowing of breadth. And what is your fifth wave? The end, right? So great point. Great point to point that out. I'd forgotten about that or can't recall that. So that was a good thing to point out, that the breadth slows down and closes itself out. And so that's what we're definitely seeing here in the stock market right now, right? The narrowing of breadth. And so those are the things we talk about. We've gone higher than the roaring 20s. Right? We've gone higher than what happened before the Great Depression. And then now we're seeing the narrowing of breadth rather than increased breadth like in wave 3. Market breadth and volume will substantially increase in wave 1. Instead, in wave 5, we see less volume and breadth, and optimism extremely high despite the narrowing breadth. And the fifth wave is what? The end. Right? So fascinating. Thanks for sharing that, Jeff. Pi gifted 5 memberships. Brother, thank you, man. Nick and Garita. Does others inverse look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, roll 6, then 7? We'll play with it. Problem is, you know where it's at, right? Let's invert it. I would say it's more like it happened back here, right? Like, right? I wouldn't say I see it clear in here, but like when we are doing Elliott wave counts, like this is what typically Elliott wave downtrends will look like. Right, like by technical, like if you go read the technicals, that's what we're going to look like, right? We're going to keep getting back to wave 4, you're back to wave 4, but staying underneath that, Right. So like I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe that's just A, that's B, and then there's another C, and then we can start another wave after that and start expanding beyond that. But to say like that there's something clear, like a crashing structure like we had here, I don't see anything that I'm like willing to like, hey, look, here's a YouTube video because I see crashing structure like we have in the past when we're in those moments, right? If we had something very clear, I'd probably be doing it. I don't see anything too clear at this moment to say that there would be. Doesn't mean there's not, but I don't see it clear. I don't see it clearly. Wigma Pool says, can you tell my son Zach to stop eating chocolate? Zach, you're becoming a nightmare. You keep getting hopped up on candy, and then you become a complete jerk when you come down off the candy. Now, if Zach is only a 3-year-old, they're like, hey, buddy. Hey, bud. How about we just have 2 more pieces of candy today? Okay? We'll go play. We'll go play ball. Just 2. And then tomorrow you can have 2 more. Okay, bud? Okay. But 2's enough. You got to make it last. I hope you guys had a good Easter, everybody. I ate candy too. I ate chocolate. Sandal says, are we close to a move with XRP being so tight? I feel like, Sandal, you had asked. No, Sandal was right after David asking when moon. So are we close to a move with XRP being so tight? That's a when moon. I hope so, bud. I hope so, man. But if you're asking when, I don't have an answer for you, buddy. George Alexanderopoulos says, good morning. On weekly chart, do you see the possibility Bitcoin is in a wave 4 expanded flat correction from April 21st high? Boy, you would be very early in expanded flat, right? And in an expanded flat, what would you probably need first? Oh, wait. You're going way back here. Are you saying from back here? Right. So this is what we're kind of rehashing old stuff, right? So like we've talked about this with Ethereum. I think it could be the case with Ethereum. I'm just not the big believer on Bitcoin. I don't care if I'm wrong or not. And if Bitcoin keeps going, we're all going to benefit from it. And the whole market and the data completely suggests that throughout all of history in crypto. But I could see that being the case more with Ethereum. And I've made a whole video on that on Ethereum with the expanded flat. Bitcoin, I'm just not willing to put a stamp on it and say we're going to $1 million. Like Kathy Wood says, we're going to $3.8 million. I just find it hard to believe. We've talked about this, just the price action of Bitcoin is really identical to all of this. It did expand a little bit higher, but it was still deep into a bear. Like this was a full bear market for Bitcoin. We go back into it, now we could see it, right? That it was a full, from time, right? Like just time-wise, it was full. It was completed. The altcoin market completely reset itself, just like it has in the past, right? I mean, it's just what ended up happening in here. Why would we do a full cycle reset on everything? Unless if this is like a peak and it's going to get slaughtered afterwards, or unless if we're going into a whole new cycle. Again, like Bitcoin's done all these super cycles that are of the exact same size for it to go on and do something like, for example, if it went to like 150K or to 200K, that would be very inconsistent with Bitcoin's historical price behavior. Like if it's going to get through 100K, like just for consistency for Bitcoin, it should go to like $500,000. Like that would just be way more consistent for Bitcoin's price action than to get to like 200 or something like that. But again, your question is kind of like, hey, are we going to go off into a massive bull run for Bitcoin? And I just am constantly harping on it, that I don't think people are listening in any way. You got back here. If you were scared of 12K in October, and then now you're looking for $3.8 million, or you're looking for, everything to change, like you're just following the flow of the market, like an emotional trader. And I get it. I'm speaking pretty real here, and it's not the best thing for the YouTube channel, but like, some of you guys keep asking the same stuff and not listening to what I'm saying. We spent 2 years to get back here. We have to expand. Get me some expansion. We can play with moon targets all we want. But the last thing that's going to happen here for me on this channel is for us to be right here. And I'm just creating videos of moon targets at this place. We're talking about moon targets at this place. Get through here first, please. And then we can like talk about that kind of stuff. But how many times have we talked about 702 retracements? How many times have we talked about this? You're at a level that is weird. And like everybody just ignoring that. Like that's normal. That's fine. That doesn't mean anything. One of the questions in here was, hey, do you think it just doesn't matter anymore? This time is different because of paper product. It's like everybody wants to ignore that means something, but it hasn't in the past. Throughout the past, this has always meant something. It always has. And hopefully it doesn't, but it always has. So Nobody wants to play defense. Nobody wants to put any cash in their pocket. It's the little monster pulling at you as you're reaching up to grab profits. You get that little monster on your shoulder telling you, but it could 10x. But it could 10x. And that's the problem. Let's get through here, guys. Let's get through here first. George, again, you're always a huge supporter of the channel. It's not to pick on you, but it's definitely in the stream. The theme has been a lot of, hey, can we get some moon talk? And in various ways, right? In various ways and phrases that it's happened. Rudy's when 10x. All right. Thanks, George. King Bones Solo. Hey, BCB, can you check the XRP wave count? I see C of E. You're wanting me to wave count the small stuff. What are we counting? This? I don't know, man. It's so rangy. I'm not going to count it. Mark C. New token gets big. Best measurement to guess top. Mark, you're going to have to go with the rest of the market. No, you don't have any measurements to guess the top on a brand new token. You have none. George says, my count shows that Bitcoin barely getting higher than at current price, then rolling over to 5K area, then starting final fifth wave. Okay, then George is like, well, actually, I'm the super biggest bear in the world, you jerk. Look, I do get it that most people don't subscribe to it. It's much easier to rely on the fantasy of what is being perpetuated. The most people perpetuating a narrative must mean a narrative must be correct, right? And that means 4-year cycles. That means block reward halvings. That means all of that. And, you know, I've stood up in front of audience. I can now say that. I've stood up in front of audiences and given my presentations in front of people in real life, not behind a computer screen with no face cam on. We're talking in person, on stage, in front of hundreds of people to show the block reward halving 4-year cycle is a made-up fantasy narrative. And that it's the stock market that matters. You know, like it was just pointed out just a second ago, fifth wave of stocks, right? What happens? You get a reduction in volume and a reduction in breadth to end up happening in there. If that ends up being the case for the United States stock market, and that this is fifth wave done, game over, lights out, what is Bitcoin going to do in that time? Oh, fantasies. A fantasy. 4-year cycle. Block reward halving. Sound money. No, nonsense. It's not what has happened with any of the price action for Bitcoin. It has always been correlated with the stock market. Okay, I need some thumbs up because I probably just earned a bunch of thumbs down on that one. So if you enjoy this content, please thumbs up. And if you hate me, please thumbs up. But that's just the reality of it. So, I mean, if the stock market gets lost on itself like it has in each of these Fed funds things, right? Like you get these elevated rates, S starts hitting the fan. Lights out, right? What are we at? We're at the high, we haven't been here in a long time. Lights out for the Fed funds rate. Is this thing on log? There you go. What's going to happen with stocks? It's likely going to, hit the fan too. And what will happen to Bitcoin? It will hit the fan as well. So, yeah. For your count, maybe, the only thing I see currently about the particular price level of Bitcoin is just that it's at a 4.236 extension of 2018. Whether or not that really matters, I'm not quite sure, but that's the technical level of where it's at. And it's the technically happening as our altcoin market is back in these areas. So like if something starts showing up, where we see like behavior that historically happens, like if this is distribution, right? I mean, we could be here for a while, man. Just examples of how distribution can last. I mean, they can just waddle here and take some time in here. But the main thing that I will be screaming about on the YouTube channel, where I like right now, it's a mix of uncertainty, right, and concern as we're back at the retracement levels, right? And kind of like, looking for expansion. It's indecision. I'm having to take some money off the table because we're back at the retracements. But like a time where you would get me on the channel where you'd have me like, the end is coming. We're all doomed. We're all screwed. Everything is game over. Run for the dang hills. What are you doing? You're a dummy. Would be like that. Right? If we had like a clear distribution happening and then the altcoin market was giving another leg into it, like we have historically seen, that would be one of those things where I'd rather than being so like, hey, look, we're at this area that's real sketchy, but it being like, dude, we're doing exactly what happens every time before S completely falls apart and the gig is up and we're done and game over. And right, we're not doing that right now, right? Like that's not what's happening. It's really just behaving the same, right? It's behaving the same. There's no massive, clear distribution rotation that has happened in here, and so for Bitcoin, yeah, it's at that extension level. But is there more distribution structures that'll show up in here, and then another leg that comes from the altcoin market in that time? I think we're still just kind of waiting on that. But as we're saying, this is the peak, this is the top. I think I've kind of beaten it like a dead horse on if you're gonna act like an expansion, right? If you're gonna act like an expanding market for the altcoin market, Bitcoin's just like this. That's the video I put out last week, right? You're acting like you're here. You're not acting like you're here. You're acting like you're already here. And that's true for the altcoin market as it's back at the retracement levels, right? We're back at the retracement levels, right? Back at the retracement levels. It's like we're way beyond here. And, Bitcoin, you're just kind of working out one of these puppies right now. And then, then all the fun can end up coming. The problem at the same time, right? Rallies off of the lows. It's all the same stuff. We talked about this in 2023. Remember all the emotional log discussion that we've had for those who've been around. We talked about this would be the area. Once we got through $32,000, what would it feel like? It would feel like the weight of the world had been lifted off of your chest, because I've read all of my emotional log to say that's what it felt like in here, and that's what it would feel like once we could get through 32,000, which would be the equivalence of it. If we got through 32,000, it'd feel like the weight of the world has been lifting off of our chest, right? And then we have the expansion, and then one more final 5 waves up. 5 waves up happens what? During a Fed pause cycle, So you have just utterly amounts of mixed signals in the market right now. And touche to anybody who has utmost confidence on the direction that's going to happen from here. I see too many mixed things to sit there and scream, go to moon, or reject to doom, because there's other things that are also missing. Right? You have like I wrote about all in here. I go through and I try to present both cases, right? I get it. We talk about a lot of the concerning stuff happening out there, but we got to talk about what's the positive stuff too. And let's present both sides to their max potential. Let's present the super bull side, and let's present the super bear side. And who has the winner? Like, who has the win? And there's just things that are not present there for Bitcoin that were present in all of its past bull runs. And a fascinating thing for the super chatter, I'm going to pull his name up because I don't want to be that rich. Jeff, right? Jeff Coolidge, pointing us to stock charts right here to talk about that, how in that 5th wave ending, like in the Dow Jones, that you see the reduction in breadth. There's extreme optimism. However, there's a narrowing of breadth. And that we're having that element arrive here in our stock market right now. And you have just retail traders screaming and hollering and utterly cocky and confident, not focusing on that narrowing of breadth that has happened. And we had the narrowing of breadth happened in crypto in 2021, right? Remember that? Most of the altcoin market tops there in April and May. The narrowing of breadth happens in November as Bitcoin and Ethereum hit a new high, just barely. And then like just a few other assets too, your Solanas and stuff like that. But 90% of the market did not go on to hit the new high. We had a narrowing of breadth for wave 5 in the crypto market. And we're seeing that same thing happen in the stock market rather than what we've seen in Bitcoin's past bull runs, which is increased breadth. We don't have that. So, we've got to get through that. And again, like I said, I'm going to apologize now because some of you guys are going to turn into emotional handbaskets. Emotionally lose your mind. You're just saying the same thing every day. It's going to be like that, guys. Sorry. It is. Until something can present itself on a third range boundary. Ray P, can you check out Black? No. Thanks for the super chat, Ray. Pat gifted 5 BCB memberships. My brother Pat, thank you, man. And there we have it. We are at 1 hour on the button. We're starting the week off with Bitcoin at 69.4. The big thing we are all waiting on, and like I even write about when I start out this newsletter, welcome to the most intense times in markets I can think of in the last 5 years. Yes, more intense than FTX collapsing. More intense than Tesla buying Bitcoin. We have gotten back to the areas that we've talked about for years on these market caps. Now we need the expansion. And if we can get it, LFG will be booking. We'll be booking our trips to the beach together. But we've got to expand first. So, all right. There you go, guys. We made it. We made it to April. Stay off social media today. If you are going to sit there and make any type of decisions or any type of educate yourself or do any research today, avoid it. Everybody's tricking you on YouTube and on Twitter. I will refrain from doing so. I believe I've refrained from doing that on every April 1st. I don't do that to you guys. So just be careful out there when it comes to April 1st, April Fool's Day. And we'll check in on this again tomorrow. Again, it'll be a spotty week this week, but then we'll be back to normal again next week. So get your taxes done. Happy April. I've already started mine. My accountant came over this weekend. My accountant will be coming back again next weekend. Get your taxes paid. Some of you are going to have some discussions with your accountants about what those coins were that you were touching. All right, we'll check in on it again tomorrow. Again, check out the newsletter that was written, especially if you want to hear my silky smooth voice for 28 minutes over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. Link in the description, link in the chat. Check out bcbacker.com for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content from me teaching you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators in TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. Otherwise, I wish you all an absolutely wonderful day. First quarter in the books. Come on, 2024, deliver the goods. Let's expand. But all right, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.